Hello and welcome. You're watching Don Bosco Media Network. This is Abigail Carmelim bringing to you the Salesian news across the globe. Most people in Madagascar live in undeveloped slums. In the capital, many families have no electricity, sanitation, or running water. More than half the population of Madagascar, one of the poorest countries in the world, lives below the poverty line, and many young people try to survive on the streets with odd jobs exposed to every danger. For these reasons, the service provided by the Salesians at the Notre Dame de Clairvaux Center is providential. Indeed, the case of young Carlos is another paradigmatic example of the suffering of young people and also of the hope and successes operated by the Salesians. The Notre Dame de Clairvaux Center, located near the international airport of Madagascar's capital Antananarivo, is a work directed by the Sons of Don Bosco that houses more than 100 adolescents and young people between the ages of 12 and 22. The Salesian facility is a home for orphan, at-risk or street children who are offered comprehensive support, medical care, food, clothing, shelter and education. The Salesians' main goal is to offer a chance for a future to each of these minors and young people. To this end, they have a structured and robust schedule of activities and programs for technical and vocational training, automotive mechanics, welding, agriculture, animal husbandry, carpentry and masonry that respond to the skills of the youth and the needs of Malagasy society. While the war in Ukraine has now been going on for almost 9 months, and the cold weather and lack of electricity further threatened the lives of Ukrainian citizens, international Salesian support carried out with foresight and thanks to the solidarity of so many benefactors manages to transmit some energy to the population most in need. Since Russia launched a series of attacks on Ukraine's infrastructure, saving electricity has been a part of daily life for thousands of people. Power outages are increasingly common both in public and private lighting. Power outages caused by bombing and technical blockages to try to save as much power as possible so as not to overload the grid. The government has asked citizens to use its apparently being careful about the consumption of washing machines and electric stoves, especially during peak times in the morning and evening. According to Ukrainian grid operator Ukrenergo, about 1,000 specialists work around the clock in most difficult conditions and often risk their lives to restore power within hours of the bombing. We can maintain this pace thanks to previously built stocks of necessary equipment. In addition, we receive support from European network operators who are helping us with consumables and equipment to repair and restore our infrastructure facilities, says Volodymyr Kudryavtsky, head of Ukrenergo in the Australian daily Der Standard. With an educational and charismatic identity-based approach, Salesians have decided to commit themselves to helping educators, families, the media and young people themselves recognize and diffuse hate speech, discriminatory and violent messages circulating on social networks and beyond. According to the United Nations reports, a disturbing wave of xenophobia, racism and intolerance is emerging around the world, with a worrying rise in anti-Semitism, hatred of Muslims and persecution of Christians. There is also a simultaneous increase in bullying, cyberbullying and other discriminatory behavior, also fueled by the spirit of social networks and the possibility of anonymity. In this regard, Pope Francis pointed out that social aggression finds in mobile devices and computers an unparalleled space for expansion. So-called hate speech poses a threat to social stability and peace. And precisely in response to this, to help provide a tool for reflection, especially for young people, on the issue of hate speech and related human rights violations, the Salesians through Don Bosco International, DBI, the body that represents the Salesian congregation to the institutions of the European Union, launched the No to Hate Speech campaign. In 2022, the Youth Missionary Volunteer Service Project of the Salesian Family, VJMFS in Spanish, turned 50, and the Salesian Province Sacred Heart of Jesus of Ecuador celebrated this anniversary Saturday 12 November with the Eucharist at the Shrine of Mary Help of Christians, El Gironde in the city of Quito. Volunteers, former volunteers, Volunteers Forever, VPS, and groups of the Salesian family gathered to thank God for the path of service they have followed. Father Francisco Sanchez, ECU Provincial, presided over the Mass and in his homily told the young people present that volunteering is just a stepping stone in the proposal that God has for their life. He wants much more. He wants you active in society. He wants you to build it, to guide it. He wants you in the church, in the Salesian family, sharing Don Bosco's charism and mission. He wants you, as Don Bosco said, happy in time and eternity. At the end of the Eucharist, a cultural event was organized in the gymnasium of the Salesian Polytechnic University, where the official anthem of the VJMFS was sung and various artistic performances were staged by the young people themselves. Furthermore, a commemorative gift was given to the Salesians, to the Daughters of Mary Help of Christians, to the Daughters of the Sacred Heart of Jesus and Mary, and to the laity who were part of the animation teams of the VJMFS project. On the eve of the first celebration of Mr. Artemides Zati as the new canonized saint last November 12, the Salesians of Samoa praised God with the priestly ordination of Father Antonio Lilia in their parish church of Falial Lupo on the island of Savaii in Samoa. Antonio was ordained a priest by the laying on of hands and consecratory prayer of Monsignor Alapati Louis Mathaliga, Archbishop of Samoa Apia. The day following his ordination, Don Antonio celebrated the Mass of Thanksgiving jointly with the feast of Saint Artemides Zati in his local parish church in the presence of many families, friends and religious. So viewers, with that we have come to the end of today's edition. Till we meet again, thank you for joining us.